Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex for the opening round of the 2021 North 1 Group 3 Sectional State Playoffs between the visiting Morris Hills Scarlet Knights and your Fort Lee Bridgemen. At this time, we now ask that we all please rise and remove your caps for the playing of the national anthem.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome tonight under the lights to some state playoff soccer action here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. From the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex here in Fort Lee, here's the setting for the opening round of the North 1 Group 3 Sectional State Playoffs as the visiting Morris Hills Scarlet Knights, 13-5-1, have come calling here to Bergen County to take on the Fort Lee Bridgemen, who come in with an 11-6 overall record, and this will be their first foray into the North 1 Group 3 playoffs after playing in the Group 2 level in the last couple of seasons. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dan Long, joined alongside by my producer, Dimitri Nanis, and we're so glad that you could join us for our final edition of Fort Lee Soccer here this season, as this is going to be a fun one. An even matchup in store for us as Morris Hills is ranked number 9. They're the number 9 seed in the bracket, taking on Fort Lee here, the number 8 seed. The winner will advance to play the winner of number 16 Wayne Hills and top-seeded Ramapo in the next round in the quarterfinals. Morris Hills is playing red-hot soccer, having won 4 straight fixtures coming into tonight's game, while Fort Lee has won 1 game coming into this one, coming off a win in their regular season finale here at home against Mawa, a 3-0 victory that night. Fort Lee is going to be in their black kits with orange numerals also on the back of their chests and backs. And Morris Hills, this is going to be the first ever matchup between these two sides, again as North 1 Group 3 playoff participants. We'll see what type of adjustments have to be made. It is a cold evening here, 50 degrees right now in Fort Lee as we're about to get underway. There was a bit of a delay because the 2 officials had to arrive late to this one. A game that they were officiating in Bergen County before tonight's game went into penalty kicks. So that made it a later trip for them to arrive here, but we are finally underway after about a 25-minute delay. Thanks for joining us. Again, this is the opening round of the North 1 Group 3 Sectional State Playoffs. And there's contact and a foul whistled against Morris Hills. Keith Dool is the head coach for Morris Hills in a 5th season, has led the Scarlet Knights to their most wins in a season since 2018. And Demba Main in his 10th season at his alma mater in charge of Fort Lee. He has led his alma mater to double-digit wins in a season for the first time since the Bridgemen won 15 games in 2017. As that'll go out of bounds and quickly will be a throw-in now. Trying to go down that near side is Morris Hills. Trying to line it up inside the box. Here's a great opportunity early on, and that one just hit wide of the mark. As Morris Hills was camping out a player inside the box after Tyrese Brown had run down unopposed down that near side wing. Johnny Ramirez getting the start in goal for Morris Hills, the senior, and Benjamin Thomas, the sophomore, in net for Fort Lee. Up the middle of the field, trying to step in front of it was Aragones, and he wins possession. Now trying to free down the near side. Here's the leading scorer for the Bridgemen. Here's Timofey Strelli. Strelli with 17 goals on the season for Fort Lee. Swings that inside, had a wide open teammate, but it just went past him, as that was going to be an opportunity potentially for Fort Lee to also have their first opportunity right in front of Ramirez in goal. Beautiful assist opportunity there for Strelli. It looked like it might have been Chan who was open in front, just could not get a shot opportunity in front. That would have been a tap-in goal. So both teams with a couple of early entries into the offensive zone box here today. As we have just gotten underway. Again, there was a delay as the officials were coming from another game. But we thank you for sticking with us, and thank you for supporting these great student athletes from both fine schools. As playoff soccer is here, win or go home. And a date with the top-seeded Ramapo Raiders most likely awaiting today's winner in the quarterfinal round. It's Morris Hills now bringing it up with Eric Cortez. Cortez is a leader on the offensive side of things for Morris Hills. Sends that one deep. Now here's a long ball the other way. And there's that aggressive goaltending we have seen throughout this regular season for Thomas. He rarely will stay in his net. He comes all the way out, tries to cut down angles, tries to negate scoring opportunities. That time he was fine with just knocking it away out of bounds to surrender the first corner of the game here to the far side. As two Morris Hill players will be there, just left behind, and now it's sent over to the near side. Great play drawn up, just not executed there. Still, we play on to the near side. Good anticipation on the back line of the defense there for Fort Lee to skewer it away. As this will go down to the near side. Played into the midfield, up top to Strelli now. Strelli playing it over far to Chan. Caden Chan, who has 7 assists to lead the team on the far side. Here's Oakley, trying to fit it into a tight circle. As again, Fort Lee coming in off a win in their regular season finale. 11-6 overall on the season. They picked up a win in the Bergen County tournament. Finished second in their league in the Big North American right behind Cliffside Park. As Morris Hills will clear it out, but go out of bounds to the near side. It was the last touch off of Bosi. Bosi with the captain's armband playing it up. Here's again another long ball. And the offside flag is up by the official on the near side. As Morris Hills aggressively trying to attack that back line that was trying to set up the offside trap and successfully did so. Yes, we're coming up on 5 minutes gone by here. Scoreless so far. In cold early November here in Fort Lee, New Jersey, just outside of New York City. So glad that you could join us for Bridgeman Athletics here in the postseason. Here's Oakley to the near side off the assist from Strelli. There's Oakley feeding in front, and again, a great opportunity right in front of the goal. And that time Ramirez was able to easily handle that one. despite that attempt inside. That's the second time that Fort Lee had someone wide open right in front of the nets and have not been able to make Morris Hills pay for that miscue defensively in the coverage. Played over the near side by Cortez. Good ball movement, but the anticipation defensively to the near side, knocked out of play. Last touch off of Fort Lee will be a throw-in now for Morris Hills. Diagonal ball to the far side, headed up and headed out of harm's way. Going out of bounds to the far side off of Fort Lee last, so it's going to be an offensive zone throw-in now for Morris Hills. Have been lights out in their last 4 fixtures, winning against Morristown, Pope John, Westmore Central, and Morris Knolls. Most wins, as I mentioned, for the Scarlet Knights since they last won 13 games in 2018. No strangers to the postseason in 2020. They beat West Milford in the first round, lost to Wayne Hills in the quarterfinals of their sectional tournament. There's a juggle inside, and Morris Hills is trying to say that was past the goal line, and it was not the case, as then the follow-up shot was hit into the side of the net, and now it's going to be out for a goal kick. Everyone in white had their hands up to the air, wondering why that was not ruled a goal, but the official who was closest to it, to the bottom of the screen, was right there and saw that it did not cross the goal line, did not have any portion of it fully behind the goal line and into the net. So we return back to play, still scoreless here. Into the midfield, it went to Koyohashi. Down the near side, Oakley trying to get a header on it. OC was getting a piece of that. Here's Strelly. Again, Strelly is the main man up front. 17 goals, 2 assists for 36 points this season for Strelly. Aragones, the playmaker in the midfield. Now working it over to the near side. Here goes Alex Oakley, one of the seniors. Losing the possession, but last touch out of bounds off of Morris Hills. So now it's going to be a throw-in. Deep in the offensive end for Fort Lee, looking for the game's first goal. They throw it into the interior, knocked out to the top, taken away. There's a mistake played by Morris Hills, and it leads to the Fort Lee goal. A costly mistake by the Scarlet Knights leads to the goal for the most dangerous man in black and orange. That's number 11, Timofey Strelly. Strelly with his team-leading 18th goal of the season. And Fort Lee has grabbed the first lead of the night here in this North 1 Group 3 sectional playoff game. Strelly's outstanding senior season continues. A misplay in the back line there by Morris Hills led to the easy pickings for Strelly. And a 1-0 advantage for Fort Lee. Taken away up top. Here's Hashi. Trying to get it down to the near side. Bosi with the throw-in. Trying to get it up top. Here's Cortez. Cortez, who's been scintillatingly finding the back of the net early and often in the last 4 games. He has 7 goals, 3 assists in the last 4 fixtures. A fortuitous bounce there into the hands of Tamas. And now the goalie will set things forward. Had 4 saves in that regular season finale against Mawa. And produced the clean sheet in the 3-0 victory. So Fort Lee striking for a goal less than 10 minutes into the first half of play here at home at the Sugarman Sports Complex. So glad that you could join us here. Hopefully you're staying nice and warm wherever you may be. Watching on YouTube, courtesy of the Fort Lee Athletic Department. Dan Long glad and honored again to bring you coverage of Fort Lee's boys soccer season. As it's knocked around to the near side, Brown trying to win back the possession. Chipped head forward to Cortez. Plays a nice 1-2 with the teammates in the air. There, again with the diagonal ball, finding Brown. Brown just trying to float it forward. Good defensive work, though. Coming back to collect it is Fort Lee, but just misplaying it out of bounds as well. And now it's going to be a couple of substitutes allowed to check onto the field. For Fort Lee, they're looking for their first state playoff victory since a 7-0 victory against McNair in the first round of the 2018 North 2 Group 2 sectional tournament. That is where Fort Lee has been playing for the last couple of seasons in North 2 Group 2. The last home playoff win for the Bridgemen came on Halloween in 2017, a 4-2 win against Lyndhurst. So they're stepping up now and playing in North 1 Group 3 this season, as this will be a throw-in right underneath us in the press box facility on the near side, as we kick off the month of November here. And will the season continue for Coach Demba Main's Bridgemen? Strelly has staked them out to an early advantage. Bosey into the middle. Nair trying to fit that one through. He does, and Fort Lee has to get back with Oakley deflecting it out of bounds off of him last to the near side, as they were trying to send Tyrese Brown, the sophomore, down the near side wing. Brown, who's tied for the team lead with 6 assists on the season, along with Nair and Cortez. You can see why he has such blazing speed down that near side flank, as that's ricocheted off the shins of Fort Lee last, and will be a throw-in now for Morris Hills right in front of their far sideline. Bridgman stepping up and clearing it forward, getting a touch of it out to Strelly. Strelly trying that 1-2 connection, just misfiring there. As it goes to the midfield, here's an intercept and a turnover forced, as Fort Lee leading 1-0 on a goal by Timofey Strelly off a mistake in the back line defensively by Morris Hills, where Strelly has scored his 18th goal of the season. Had a goal and assist in the last game against Bawa back on October 26th. We saw him earlier this season here at the Sugarman Sports Complex produce a 4-goal game against Cresskill in the Bergen County tournament. Had 2 total goals in his career coming into this season, his senior campaign, and what a senior season it has been for big number 11. Bosey leaving it off to the near side to Brown. Brown was turning around, and Oakley sent it out of bounds again. So Morris Hills again with a gradual buildup as Cortez flicks it over to the near side. Played up to Chan. Chan settling it down and getting the space out in space now to Strelly. This is where he's dangerous in the open field. Leaves it on a line to the near side, holding on to it. Oakley tried to take it and fire that one in one fell swoop and just hooked it a little too far to the left. Again, that would have been another misplay in the back line for Morris Hills, as Bosey seemingly was trying to control that one, but then it squirted free underneath him and found Alex Oakley, number 7, the senior, for the shot opportunity. Out for a goal kick, taken by one of the defenders. Here's Oakley with it down the near side. Got tugged on a little bit from behind, but last touch off of him. So it's going to be possession and a throw-in now for Morris Hills. On a whistle, they're going to say that it was a violation on the throw-in. And that's going to give possession now to Fort Lee, with the Bridgemen having 26 minutes left to go here in the first half, 14 minutes gone by. Strelly striking for the game's first goal, less than 10 minutes into play, giving the home side an early 1-goal advantage. A nice crowd coming out here to assemble and cheer on Fort Lee. Here's another mistake, and another one that's going to be pounced on by Strelly. Oh my! Timofey Strelly is having himself a night. Another goal for number 11 in black and orange. And the Fort Lee Bridgemen have struck for 2 goals here in the first half on 2 misplays in the defensive side of the field. And the Scarlet Knights, a team that was red hot coming into this game with 4 consecutive wins, they're a bit shell-shocked here, as Strelly have scored goals number 18 and 19 on the season. And with 25:38 left to go here in the first half of play, it is Fort Lee on top by a score of 2-0. And you kind of see after that last goal, and Morris Hills were just kind of hands up in the air, looking at one another, wondering what has happened. A team that had been allowing only 1.1 goals per game coming into this contest. A couple of misplays, and Fort Lee is making them pay after suffering those missed passes in the back line. And each time it has fallen to the feet of number 11, and Timofey Strelly has found the back of the net on both occasions. What a start to this playoff game for Fort Lee, who again have not been in action since October 26th. They've had the time off. Morris Hills last played on October 30th, a 3-0 decision at home against Morris Knowles. But Fort Lee definitely looks fresher, definitely looks like they are the aggressive side, making and pouncing on those mistakes, and just opportunistic right now. Morris Hills had a great start to this game, and we're thinking that they were the ones that were close to procuring the first lead of the day, and Strelly and company have turned this completely around in favor of the home side. So now Ramirez, who's handling it, will play it to one of his defenders. They have to be very careful here and can't let this playoff game get away from them. They're in a 2-goal deficit now, still with plenty of time remaining in regulation. Fort Lee with their 2 goals now, with 35 goals on the season. We're averaging just under 2 goals per contest coming into tonight's game. This being the 18th game of the season for the Black and Orange. Played down to the near side. Bosi playing it up top again. As Fort Lee still just trying to find their way here down the near side. It was Oakley getting around the defender. Now gets through him. Passes through everyone as Strelly was lurking to the top of the box, as that draws the oohs and ahs from the Bridgman faithful. Here's some interest there with that service right down the middle, as Oakley was just a tad bit late as Ramirez came out to field that one in the air. Hashi had done a nice job of serving that one initially down the other way, and there goes Fort Lee again. Sound defending despite the run up the field by Brown. Not allowing the breakaway, just simply skewering that one out of play and setting up a corner kick taken by Morris Hills to the near side. Scarlet Knights can get right back in the thick of things here with a goal, as we have seen 2 goals produced before even the halfway point of this first half. Coming up on 22.5 minutes left to go in the first half of play. 2-0 the lead for Fort Lee. On the near post, knocked away by Strelly. Trying to pinball its way inside the box. Knocked away again by the Bridgman. Chan kind of whiffed on that attempt, as Strelly now sends it long down that far side. Will it stay in bounds? It will not, as it will meander its way out of bounds for a throw-in now for Morris Hills. Last time in the 2019 North 1 Group 3 sectional playoffs, Morris Hills lost to Garfield 3-0 in the first round. They're behind already 2-0 here in the first round meeting with Fort Lee, the first time these sides have met as playoff combatants, as that's knocked off the Bridgman last and out of play. As Lee's stepping up now to make the defensive stop. Here's the ball. Over to Oakley. Oakley sending that one long to the other side, but none of his teammates were making the run as he shakes his head in frustration, as he was thinking he was going to be setting up almost a no-look pass to one of his forwards attacking up top. Knocked down to the midfield. Here comes Morris Hills. Chipping it forward, making the run down the near side was Brown. Played backwards, and again, Morris Hills trying to move up their defense a little bit, trying to win back the possession here. Fort Lee does enough to take it away. Good play in the midfield. Trying to keep it just in play, and they do. Trying to make the turn with it. Reverse it over to the near side. Here's Strelly with a one-touch. Fort Lee building it up. Here's Aragones, and a save made by Ramirez, preventing what would have been the third goal of the first half for Fort Lee, and the Bridgemen have come out flying here in the first half of this state playoff game. Coach Demba Main, maybe that time off for his team has proven to be an exceptional elixir. They look like the fresher side right now. Hamas will let it come all the way out. We'll eventually pick it up right now before setting it back into play, seeing where he's going to roll with it as he goes to the near side. We have reached the halfway point to the first half, 20 minutes and counting left to go here at the Sugarman Sports Complex in the first half of play. 2-0, the lead for Fort Lee. 2 goals off of defensive miscues by Timofey Strelly, his 18th and 19th tallies of the season, as now he has 40 points in his senior season. Hashi, a facilitator in the midfield. He gets taken down from behind, and there's the whistle. And a set piece upcoming now for Fort Lee, as Brown is going to be the one charged with the foul. Hashi will have the chance to line this up. Here's a set piece with Fort Lee already enjoying the 2-goal advantage. Trying to find a runner down that far side. Slips out to the outside. And Morris Hills now garners the possession. They look to set up the counterattack the other way. That time, good job by the back line of Fort Lee again, maintaining their shape and setting this up and clearing it out of way down the near sideline. Again, this game started about 25 minutes late because the officials who were going to be here were at another place in Bergen County calling a game earlier this afternoon, and the game had gone to penalty kicks in Oradell at Riverdale High School. So with traffic and just the game ending late, this pushed the start time of this game back about 25 minutes, so we thank you for your patience if you were tuning in, expecting the 7 p.m. start time. There's Hashi trying to send that one up top to Strelly, who's trying to work on a potential first-half hat trick here in the sectional playoffs. The first time that Fort Lee is playing as part of the North 1 Group 3 sectional playoffs after playing in North 2 Group 2 for so many seasons. Strelly over to Hashi. Played into the midfield as Noah Lee tries to track it down. That's, though, taken away from him by Raul Nair. Nair, the junior, with 4 goals and 6 assists on the season. Long ball trying to get into the back line. There's a turnaround with a bicycle kick attempt, but Brown lost his footing in the process as well, and it caroms off and out of bounds to the side and out for a goal kick. Last time that Fort Lee were in the playoffs, it was the 2019 North 2 Group 2 sectional playoffs. They lost in the first round to Caldwell 4-1. As I mentioned, the last time they won a playoff game was in 2018, and looking for their first home playoff win since 2017. Strelly heading it forward to himself, but Ramirez coming well out, sensing that number 11 cannot be granted enough space, as he's seen what he's done already here today, and there's going to be a late challenge and a foul whistled against Fort Lee, and the clock will stop, and it looks like it will be a yellow card too. Looked like it was Enzo Yu Also could have been Kato Shinoda, looks like more. I have to admit that even though calling some of these games early on this season, it is still very difficult at points to see under the lights here with Fort Lee's kits, their home uniforms, just an outline of the number in orange. As that one is caromed over to the near side, last touch off of Fort Lee, so it's going to be another corner here for Morris Hills. The visitors in the white, the home side in the black and orange trim. Fort Lee has come out flying and have capitalized on 2 misplays on the defensive side of the field. Put in 2 goals here in the first half to stake themselves out to a 2-goal lead on a Morris Hills side that is red hot on the season. Tomas, nice job of punching that one across the way, as that might have been destined for sneaking in underneath the crossbar. Morris Hills looking for win number 14 on the season. Chipped forward. A little bit of a whiff attempt there by Fort Lee, as that will harmlessly roll its way out of bounds again. It's going to be another offensive zone throw-in here for Morris Hills. The Scarlet Knights trying to produce that first goal of the game and cut their deficit in half here, as we're closing in on 15 minutes remaining in the first half. Again, that was difficult there. Tomas, finally, he hesitated initially, and then he eventually came out. Now he's going to roll it down in space to the near side to Oakley. Oakley, who's been a player up top for Fort Lee this year, playing more in the back line here tonight. Strelly maintains his balance, leaves it over for Oakley. Here's Oakley going from box to box. Rolls it across the middle, but no one lurking on the other end. Here comes the ball with the carom, and it's a foot race. And Brown's going to try to run underneath it, and does, to the near side for Morris Hills. Looks for a teammate, but it rolls through his legs, just in the top of the box. Missed opportunity there for the Scarlet Knights, as they had a numbers advantage, with the defense trying to recollect themselves and run back in the play. Little pushing and shoving, and there's the contact from Fort Lee. That'll lead to the foul, and now a set piece for Morris Hills, as Caden Chan was trying to pry away possession. Lofted into the box, comes all the way to the near side post, but Bosey could not get underneath it. Cleared out to space by Oakley. Strelly could not get to it there. Excuse me, it was Chan who was trying to kind of box out the defender behind him. Good job and clean move on the header there by the Morris Hills defender. Looked like it was Jason Gomez, number 8, who had done a nice job of not going over the back of the Fort Lee player. There's Gomez popping it forward now. Into the midfield it goes. To Figueroa. That'll go out of bounds to the far side. It will be a throw-in right in front of the Morris Hills bench. Morris Hills has had some nice build-ups offensively in this game. They also came so tantalizingly close to producing the first goal of the game. A lot of the players had thought that it had crossed the goal line completely, but the referee was right there in the bottom of your picture and ruled it a no goal, and that kept it scoreless at that point. And then eventually Strelly would produce the first 2 goals of the game. Fort Lee leading here with under 13 minutes left to go until halftime. The first round of the 2021 North 1 Group 3 state sectional playoffs here in the NJSIAA tournament. Trying to make your way to Kane University to play for a state championship in a couple of weeks' time. Played forward, knocked down by Aragones. Ian Aragones playing it over to the near side for Oakley, just a little too long for him. Aragones, who missed a lot of time in this season. He has been sensational in his career. 26 goals, 12 assists for 64 points in the midfield coming into this senior season, where he was limited and has only produced 2 goals and 2 assists, mainly because of injuries. Number 10 in the middle of the field is someone to watch out for. Here's Strelly. Strelly has been brilliant here tonight, number 11. One of the best strikers so far this season in Bergen County. A goal away from 20 on the year as he clips a little bit of Bosey here. As that'll set up now a set piece for Morris Hills on their side of the 50-yard line. Again, the winner of today's match will play the winner of Wayne Hills and Ramapo. Ramapo, the top overall seed, the favorite in this section. Year in, year out, one of the strongest teams in the state of New Jersey in soccer, both boys and girls soccer. Coming off another Bergen County championship are the Raiders, after they knocked off Ramsey most recently. Ramapo has won the most Bergen County championships in county history. Morris Hills knows Ramapo all too well as well, losing to the Raiders in the semifinals of the 2008 tournament. Here's another play deep in the end, leading to an opportunity here. Strelly takes the shot, but ricochets that off of the football uprights in the crossbar. As Chan had forced the turnover, had been unselfish, leaving it off after he was making his run to the net. And Strelly just inches away from producing that first half hat trick. As substitutes are made and we approach the final 10 minutes of the first half of play. You're watching Fort Lee State Playoff Soccer action here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. I'm Dan Long, so glad that you could join us here for another edition of Bridgman Soccer action as they take on a very good team from Morris Hills. 13-5-1 on the season are the Scarlet Knights. Ball is loose now on the far side, and there's a chip shot attempt for Morris Hills that goes high of the mark. Will go out for an ensuing goal kick. For Morris Hills, they finished second in the regular season, just like Fort Lee did in their respective division in the NJAC National Division. They were behind Roxbury, who was a perfect 10-0 on the season in divisional play, and who is the number 2 seed in the bracket. They're in the bottom of this North 1 Group 3 bracket, as they were going to be taking on Paramus, today. Another Bergen County team. A misplay there, and Fort Lee, though, will clear it out of harm's way. That's been the difference so far in this game. No real mistakes made by the defense so far for Fort Lee. A couple for Morris Hills have led to 2 goals for Timofey Strelly. Down that far side goes Morris Hills. Now with Brown trying to make the turn. Knocks it out of play, so this will set up Morris Hills here with 8:35 and counting left to go in our first half, and now another corner kick. Morris Hills just elects to do that quick kick, just getting the pass going. Now curling the service inside, and there is Brown inside, and Tomas trying to talk it over with a couple of his defenders, as that shot was very close to finding the upper corner as well. As that's knocked out of play to the far side. Be a throw in now. Again, taken on the far side by Morris Hills. Looking for that first goal of this sectional state playoff game on the road here in Fort Lee. Located just outside of New York City. Deflected. Good defensive work there by the Bridgeman. Knocked ahead forward. Strelly trying to out-jump the defender, but can't do so. But here's Aragones coming out of the pack with the ball. Strelly tried to leave it behind, but he had no player there. So now a turnover. but Morris Hills can't make the most of it. As Amar Ramadan, the junior, number 11, mishits that one and goes out of play for a goal kick. With 6:40 now and counting left to go before halftime. Again, it's been a little chilly here on the first night of November. 50 degrees at the start of the game. A game that was pushed back about 25 minutes in the delay until the referees joined us here after refereeing another game earlier in the day. Will this be the end of the season for Morris Hills? Or can they find a chance to rally here on the road and end the campaign in 2021 for the Bridgemen of Fort Lee? It's a do-or-die situation as we are in playoff soccer here, as the teams are trying to make their way through the North 1 Group 3 sectional tournament. Here in this first round of action. Getting it around and to the near side. Cortez getting his run denied there by the play of Juno Kim. Kim, number 3, the senior, who had a pair of goals against Ridgeville Park. One of the seniors who contributed on senior night, and it was great to see him that night with a big smile after it seems like he scored his first goal not only of the season, but maybe in his career. And then, to double his pleasure, immediately scored right after that, less than 5 minutes later, to give him 2 goals in that win here, a 5-0 drubbing of Ridgeville Park. Knocked out of play again as they try the service towards Strelly. As we now approach 5 minutes remaining here in the first half. Fort Lee leading Morris Hills by a score of 2-0. Hashi going diagonally down that far side. Morris Hills will play conservatively and play it out of bounds to the far side, and it's going to be a throw-in. With under 5 minutes now left to go before halftime, Coach Demba Main's side threatening potentially to add to their already 2-goal lead in search of their first playoff win here at home since 2017. And looking for their overall first playoff win period since 2018 when they won on the road at McNair. There's going to be a throw-in for Morris Hills right in front of Coach Main and the Fort Lee bench, but Fort Lee, once again, quick to take it away. Let's touch off of the Bridgemen, so another throw-in here for the Scarlet Knights of Morris Hills. Knocked straight up into the air. Bosey playing it forward. Headed down. Here's now Oakley trying to run after it. Makes the sprints, but that rolls out of bounds before Oakley can get to it. Under 3.5 minutes now left to go in the first half. Sent forward, knocked down by Strelly over to Koyohashi. Hashi with the blue cleats, doing a nice couple of moves. Played over to the far side. Now into the open space it goes. Played forward again. Hashi was trying to tell a teammate where to go with it, but Aragones just got denied. Played back to Aragones. Nice touching to the far side. Played up top again. Fort Lee again. Good, clean passing going on in the interior here in the midfield as Hashi settling it down. Kim up top to Oakley, who lets it roll around him. As that rolls out of bounds, will be possession here for Morris Hills. As we come up on now the final 2 minutes of the first half. Fort Lee trying to continue this run of great soccer this season. They have won 3 out of their last 4 coming into this playoff game and have had a hot start to this one, but Morris Hills could change all that and gain momentum late in the half, and just like that, as I say it, they do. Are they going to say it's a goal or it's offsides? Looks like it is no goal, so the officials saying offsides, as that could have been exactly what Morris Hills was looking for. Played to the near side by Cortez. So the Scarlet Knights thought for twice in this first half they might have scored goals. That second one was offsides, the call by the official right there again. Here's Brown to the near side. Fort Lee has to hunker down here for the final minute and change to get into the locker room with this lead. Still a 2-goal advantage. As they always say, maybe the most dangerous lead in soccer is the 2-goal lead. Strelli is going to be called for the foul, as this will be a set piece now upcoming for Morris Hills. As Noah Fatia was fouled by Strelli just inside the midfield. This one is going to be sent long into the box. Brown trying to get it up top to Cortez. Cortez gets his shot deflected from the side. Great trail defensive work there by Fort Lee, knowing where number 10 is at all times. Over to the near side it goes with under 30 seconds left to go in the half, and a late whistle again. And it's going to be another set piece upcoming for Morris Hills just before halftime. The Scarlet Knights trying to administer a little pressure here late in the first half. A little pushing and shoving going on. Fort Lee doing a great job of time wasting. Morris Hills is trying to get this shot opportunity off before halftime. 5 seconds remaining. Will they do it? They take the shot from distance. It's rushed. Frustration setting in as they're barking things at one of the officials. And Fort Lee just doing all the little things right now as they will take a 2-goal lead into halftime. 2 goals courtesy of number 11, Timofey Strelli. Off of defensive mistakes in the back line have led to that 2-goal advantage for the home side here in Fort Lee. Stick around as we'll come back for the start of the second half as you're watching coverage of the 2021 North 1 Group 3 State Sectional Playoffs in the first round here on YouTube, courtesy of the Fort Lee Athletic Department. Welcome back, everybody, to the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex here under the bright lights in Fort Lee, New Jersey, as you're watching coverage of the opening round of the 2021 North 1 Group 3 Sectional Soccer Playoffs. We're at the half. Fort Lee, the number 8 seed, leading number 9 seed Morris Hills by a score of 2-0. Both goals produced by number 11, forward Timofey Strelli, the senior, who comes into tonight's game leading Fort Lee in goals and points on the season, has added 2 more to now give him 19 goals on the season for the senior. As we are about to start the second half of play in a cold night in the 50s here in the first day of November. Looks like it's going to be a change made in goal for Morris Hills, as it might be Mason Epstein coming into this game now. After Johnny Ramirez had started off the game in goal, didn't really have a chance of stopping Strelli, and both of those mistakes made by a couple of the defensemen behind the play. And then it led to easy pickings for Strelli, who poked the first one home and then jettisoned one straight into the back of the net for the second one. Again, off just a misplay, and just led to a 1v1 opportunity. And for a player the skill quality of Strelli, he was not going to be missing from that close in tight. But Morris Hills have generated their scoring opportunities as well. It looked like momentarily there at the end of the first half they might have finally produced their first goal of the evening, but an offsides call negated that one that was in the back of the net. Benjamin Thomas has been strong in net once again. He's been aggressive. That's his game. We're trying to cut down the angles, and also the back line for Fort Lee has been solid in their decision-making and how they're playing in this game. But a fresh set of 40 minutes put on the scoreboard. It's still anyone's game here. As we've seen, Morris Hills have the ability to produce. They're a team that have scored 40 goals coming into today's action, averaging just around 2 goals a game, so this is not that steep a hill to climb. But Fort Lee just has to keep on playing the way they did in that first half, and they will win here at home for the first time in the state playoffs since 2017. Again, a matchup in the second round awaiting them against the winner of Wayne Hills and Ramapo on this side of the bracket. And the other seeds, the top seeds in this section, Roxbury, a team that was a divisional rival for Morris Hills this season. They're the number 2 seed on the opposite side of the bracket. Number 3 is Randolph, and number 4 is Northern Highlands. This is your 8-9 matchup in the first round. The first time that Fort Lee is playing here in North 1 Group 3 after playing for the majority of time in North 2 Group 2. And the whistle sounds. We're underway in Fort Lee with the opening possession. We'll send it over to the far side as Bozy getting a piece of it. Fort Lee looking for win number 12 on the season. Sending that one long right down the middle. It caroms a bit. So again, new keeper into the game is Epstein, who has to put on a blue penny because the goalie kits for the 2 varsity goalies for Morris Hills were in black. They'd be identical to the black color worn by Fort Lee's field players. Epstein made 3 saves against Morris Knowles in their last fixture on October 30th. Had a season-high 7 saves in a defeat earlier this year against State Power Del Barden. As that goes out of play, a matchup of Morris County and Bergen County here tonight under the lights in Bergen County. So glad that you could join us here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Knocked down inside the box, out in space, trying to clear it out of harm's way is Fort Lee. Good start to this second half by Morris Hills. Again, dropping it off, and Fort Lee just pouncing on it, not taking any chances and just clearing it over to the near side. Dan Long, Dimitri Nanis, glad that you could join us on this broadcast as we've been broadcasting all throughout the regular season in home games here for Fort Lee at the Sugarman Sports Complex. Fort Lee 4-3 here at home. Have had a better record on the road, 7-3. Here's a corner kick to open up the second half, though, for the visitors. Trying to get right back in the thick of things. Sending it to the far post. Ricochets inside, and there's the goal. You felt it coming. Morris Hills has been playing great soccer at the end of that first half and now in the opening minutes of this second half. And just like that, less than 2 minutes into the start of the second half, Morris Hills will score their first goal of the game and trim that halftime deficit in half from 2-0 to now 2-1. Fort Lee was trying to protest their case to the official on the near side, saying that might have been a handball or offsides even, but you just felt that Morris Hills, the Scarlet Knights, they were knocking on the door, and eventually that door would open. And it opens really fast to begin this second half of play. So Tomas is beaten for the first time here tonight. It's now a 2-1 lead for Fort Lee. And it feels like it's a brand new ball game. Over to the far side. Stepping up and poking it down that far sideline. It goes out of play. So we'll see if Fort Lee can respond after certainly there's a little more juice in the Morris Hills side. They were denied a couple of times in that first half. Thought they had done enough to score a goal and even take a lead when it was still scoreless in the early goings. And now here's a misplay defensively by Fort Lee, leading to an opportunity for Morris Hills. Nair was playing backwards now. Morris Hills setting it long down the far side. There's a header attempt and nearly the equalizing goal less than 3 minutes into the second half. Bryant Morales, number 15, was the man who sent that ball wide to the far side, and Cortez, with reckless abandon, was heading it forward and nearly snuck it in underneath. Fort Lee looking a little flat-footed to start this second half after they were the team that was flying out of the gates to begin this game. These are those halftime adjustments you always see that coaches are able to make. Here's Strelly, now with his team leading by 1. Back heeling it to Oakley, back to Strelly, into the box. He's contacted, and is that going to be a penalty kick? It looks like it will be as they're pointing. The clock will be told to stop with 36:24. And will we have a penalty kick, and it will be a PK. An opportunity here for Strelly. As Epstein hands it to him, has a little words with the star forward for Fort Lee, who's trying to give the Bridgemen a 2-goal lead right back here and also produce potentially his hat trick on the night. Strelly was taken down in the box. Here's the penalty kick opportunity. Strelly with 19 goals on the season. This could also be goal number 20. Can Epstein, who's come into this game to start the second half, make a huge stop? Strelly right away pounces in and scores the goal. Epstein guessed to the right direction. He went to his left, but Strelly still had too much speed on his shot to be denied. And now Timofey Strelly has made it a hat trick in the game. And once again, for the second time, Fort Lee leads by 2. It's a 3-1 lead for the Bridgemen with 36:24 left to go in regulation. Just what the doctor there for Fort Lee after Morris Hills had a scintillating start to that second half, scoring the goal less than 2 full minutes into the start of the second half, and then having an opportunity just moments later for a potential tying goal on a absolutely brilliant ball sent in by Bryant Morales that Eric Cortez was close to coming down with. But then Strelly got it at his feet for the first time in the second half, drew the contact in the box, earned the penalty kick, and converted on the PK. So Timofey Strelly, another multi-goal game here this season. Strelly just lighting up the scoreboard here at home games at the Sugarman Sports Complex. 20 goals now on the season for the senior. Was 42 points on the year. Again, Strelly had only 2 goals in his career coming into this senior season. Aragones just hits that one into the stands, and it popped right back in and off the hand of a fan. Getting the round of applause from the group that has made the trip here to support these student athletes from both schools. As that's moving around, and it's going to be a foul whistled against Fort Lee, and this is going to be a dangerous opportunity with a set piece just outside the box. That was nearly going to be a potential penalty kick as well. And now the referee talking things over, a little time wasting, and now a yellow card is given to Fort Lee. So Fort Lee's player is sent off with a yellow. And now Morris Hills is getting set for a set piece, and once again it's going to be Bryant Morales, number 15, who's going to be waiting for the signal so that he could get ready to serve this one out. Again, it is right outside the yellow lines of the box. 35:08 left to go here in the second half. As Fort Lee and Morris Hills have each scored a goal here in the second half already, as we're not even 5 minutes gone by here in the second half. Morales curving that one into the back of the net and scores! So a costly foul there against Fort Lee, and once again, Morris Hills not going quietly into the night. After being shut out in the first 40 minutes of play, the Scarlet Knights have scored twice here within 5 minutes. They've also surrendered a penalty kick. And for the second time tonight, they've pulled back to within 1 on the beautiful finish by senior Bryant Morales, the defender now with his second goal of the season. So a costly foul against Fort Lee. It led to a yellow card and a free kick just outside the box, and Morales doing an absolutely perfect job of lining that one up and then sent it down to the other side. And now the training staff is coming out to attend to Benjamin Tomas, the goalie for Fort Lee. He went to go and try to make a play on that. Did not look like he got all of it in terms of his full vertical, as Morales still had enough on the shot to get it off the hand of the goalie and into the upper left-hand corner. And on a cold night like tonight, this is where you get those opportunities where you might have pulled something, and Tomas looks like he is coming out of this game, and that will bring on a new goalie in number 1, Alton Tafalage, the junior who has made 24 saves on the season. So a new goalie into the game, just as we saw a new goalie for Morris Hills start the second half in Mason Epstein. And once again, don't go anywhere. I think we have plenty of goals still remaining in this one. 35:05 left to go in regulation. And now the lead is trimmed down to 1 once again. 3-2 the lead for Fort Lee in this fun 8-9 matchup in the North 1 Group 3 sectional playoffs. Tafalage, the Toller goalie, had a season-high 8 saves against Bergenfield back on September 25th. Long ball going down the other way. Taken in by Brown. As that goes playing out of bounds to the far side. So Morris Hills has flipped the switch here in the second half, producing 2 goals within 5 minutes to turn a 2-goal deficit at 2-0 now to a 3-2 deficit. So now Fort Lee's going to have to make their necessary in-game adjustments here defensively and counteract what Morris Hills has been doing to produce those set pieces, produce those offensive opportunities that were really not presenting themselves in the first half because of sound defensive work on the back line for the Bridgemen. Played wide to the far side, but last touch off of Fort Lee, and that'll be a throw-in in front of the Bridgemen bench. So a wild start here as we have seen 3 goals within the first 5 minutes from the two teams. And now here's a long ball down the near side for Morris Hills, running underneath it again. Chris D'Souza, number 19. Taken away, though, as Fort Lee now trying to bring it up with Oakley. Trying to send it up top to Chan. Caden Chan winning the possession, now sending it long to Strelly. Strelly, who has all 3 Fort Lee goals here tonight. Dizzying, dribbling, takes the shot and whips it to the far side as it bent just a little too long there to the far side. And out of play for a goal kick. Haven't really said Chris D'Souza's name all that often so far here for Morris Hills. Number 19, the junior, who has 8 goals on the season. One of the stars on the offensive side of the field for the Scarlet Knights. Again, the winner will advance to take on the winner of Wayne Hills and Ramapo, as that one is sent down the far side. Into the box. Here's Morris Hills taking the shot and gets it deflected as Cortez was looking for another goal. Cortez, who leads Morris Hills with 15 goals on the season. Now Strelly poking it free. Chan with a run down the far side. Touch pass over to Strelly. But that's misplayed and sent back to the midfield. Here's a counterattack opportunity, but stepping up there was Fort Lee defensively. As it was Juno Kim who was cleaning things up. Here's a collision. And the whistle, and a foul behind the play there against Fort Lee. So another set piece here for Morris Hills. Even despite giving up that penalty kick that made the lead, again, 2-goal margin for Fort Lee, you sense that momentum starting to shift a little more here to the visitor side. They're believing now after scoring 2 goals early on in the second half to get right back in the game. It's loose in front, dangerously close in front of Tafalage, who's just checked into the game after an injury to the starting goalie for Fort Lee. So both goalies that did not start the game are in the game right now for their respective sides. There's a bit of a misplay, but Fort Lee can't cap off that opportunity. There's another foul against the Bridgemen near midfield, and Morris Hills trying to state their case that should be a yellow card. And it looks like it will be another yellow. So Fort Lee, I believe that's their 3rd player to get assessed a yellow card in this game. Last time that they had that, immediately it was a goal produced by Morris Hills on the set piece. And now the referee, some of the players are trying to say, is that the 2nd yellow card? As they look down to the official on the near side. No sign of a red card yet. As the clock again is stopped with 31:06 left to go. We still have not gotten through 10 minutes of play here in the second half, and a lot has already transpired. 3 combined goals between the two teams. A couple of yellow cards, and now we'll restart play here with Morris Hills looking for a chance at the equalizing goal. The foul occurred just on the side of the 50 in Fort Lee territory, so it will be a free kick taken once again by Bryant Morales. Morales, who had that beautiful finish on the set piece that made it a 3-2 game just moments ago. Morales sending it in. Just on the top of the box, knocked down by Fort Lee. Hashi was trying to get to it, taken away from him. Played by Bosi into the box. Tafalaz trying to punch it out from behind. A collision ensued in front, and a player is down in the box defensively for Fort Lee. And nearly it hit into the player who was hurt. And it looks like we'll have to have another injury stoppage here as the clock is running, but the clock will freeze with 30:36 left to go. Again, we have not even gotten to 10 minutes into the second half. We have had numerous stoppages with fouls and injuries and 3 different goals. There's a player down behind the play for Fort Lee, and that player nearly got contacted by the ball as he was down on the turf just outside the goal line. The goalie, Tafalaj, had to still maneuver through the defense to make that stop on the ensuing shot. First time that Tafalaj being forced into service since he's come into the game. So again, another new body is going to have to come into the game now for Coach Demba Main. Fort Lee trying to win their first state playoff game since 2018, trying to win here for the first time at home since 2017 in the postseason. Morris Hills is trying to win here in the North 1 Group 3 sectional playoffs for the first time since 2018. That season, the Scarlet Knights defeated Sparta in the first round and then Wayne Hills in penalty kicks before losing to Ramapo in the semifinal round. As Tafalaj lets out a boot there. That's a deep kick into the offensive end. Fort Lee trying to knock it down, but here comes the possession in the midfield. Morris Hills and Morales setting it long themselves. Things have opened up a bit after we saw Fort Lee command the first 40 minutes of play. Morris Hills have made their adjustments offensively, and they've now started to attack a little bit more and gain more possession. And there's a late whistle on what looked to have been a clean foul, but the official behind the play thought differently. Free kick upcoming now for Fort Lee just underneath us to the press box here at the Sugarman Sports Complex. Booming that one long and laying off that one was Epstein, allowing it to roll out of bounds for an ensuing goal kick here for Morris Hills. As Morales will handle the goal kick himself for his keeper. That goes through everybody trying to advance to touch that one. And we'll go out of bounds for a throw-in now for Fort Lee. Substitution being made there by Coach Demba Main. That's stopping the course of play. 29 minutes now left to go here in the second half. This is going to be a long 29 minutes for Fort Lee. The way that Morris Hills is playing, they have the momentum on their side, scoring 2 goals here in the second half to pull back to within 1. This is where you lean on your leaders, your senior leaders. Strelli and Aragones and Hashi. Can you find the finish line here and try to fend off the advances of a team that has been playing their best soccer of the season, winning 4 in a row? Coming into tonight's game. Deflected up top. Headed forward now for Morris Hills. Knocked away. And booted forward there by Fort Lee. Now top to Caden Chan. Chan, who leads the team with 7 assists on the season. Strelli got a piece of it. A lot of contact as they're letting them play. As Hashi will win back the ball to Aragones, who now sends it diagonal to the far side. Hashi. Start and stop. Nice chip play. Trying to find Strelli, but obviously the defense trying to front number 11 whenever he's loose in the box. That one curves a little too long, going to the far side and easily caught on the fly by Epstein. If you were just joining us, Timofey Strelli has recorded a hat trick here in the first round of the state playoffs. 2 goals in the first half, a penalty kick goal here in the second half, accounting for all 3 Bridgman goals. It's a cool evening. It was 50 degrees at kickoff, and again, we started this game 25 minutes later than expected. It's officially 49 degrees right now here in Fort Lee. Played over to the near side as Bryant Morales, who has the last goal in the game, trying to clear it, but sent right back in by Aragones. Sent up to the far side. Brown trying to run underneath it. Fort Lee with a nice job of defending and just chipping it forward. That's what the Bridgemen were doing so effectively in the first half, just limiting those touches on offense. Morris Hills has had much more possession to begin the second half than they enjoyed really for the majority of the first half. There's a nice play down that far side to Strelly. Strelly holding it right on the end line, playing it backwards to a teammate. Service inside the box, trying to swing and get an opportunity inside. Again, another shot. There's another follow-up, and is that going to be a goal? But no. Is it going to be an opportunity here for Fort Lee? They were trying to say that should have been a handball. And then it actually fell back to the feet, and it looks like it might have been offsides the call. So no goal there as it was pounced on into the back of the net. No goal, no handball, no penalty kick, and just possession here for Morris Hills. So just as the Scarlet Knights thought they had scored early in this game, but eventually the goal was wiped out on an offsides. The same happened here for Fort Lee in the second half. Here comes Brown with a good pass into the box, takes the shot, and just missed the tying goal. Fort Lee so fortunate, as there was an opportunity presenting itself for the Scarlet Knights to tie the score here, as we're approaching 25 minutes remaining in the second half. Man, how's this game has just really turned on a dime and have opened up completely. Here's a long ball down the near side to Oakley. Oakley trying to batter that one into the turf and center the ball, but nobody there on the other end of the receiving pass. Oakley setting that one again, popping that one square up in the air. Fort Lee winning back possession with Aragones in the midfield, getting past that first tackle attempt by Tyrese Brown. Trying to chip it forward as Strelly is right there in that general vicinity in the top of the box, but it's going to be a foul whistled against Fort Lee. Morris Hills trying to call for a handball, but no call coming, as they send that one back into the offensive zone. But again, Epstein will race out to recover it. This 8-9 matchup, always an exciting pairing between two evenly matched teams in the first round of a state playoff. It was a 2-goal advantage at halftime for Fort Lee, but you felt that the way that Morris Hills was playing at the end of the first half, they've started to get their legs, and they started to get the idea of how to combat the defense and the formation for Fort Lee. They were so close to scoring a goal just before halftime. Now they're close here, and coming out is Tafalage. The net is open. The empty net is still open as Tafalage has to race back. Cortez takes the shot off the side of the net and out of play. But boy, Fort Lee playing really aggressively, almost too aggressively from their goalies that have been leading to countless number of opportunities here for Morris Hills to maybe produce that game-tying goal. Tafalage has come in after Tomas went out of the game hurt after that second goal was produced by Morris Hills. Here comes D'Souza down the near side. Good defending, knocking that one away deep in the zone for Fort Lee. An eternity left in this game, though, for Morris Hills. 22:45 and counting left to go in the second half. The Scarlet Knights have produced 2 second-half goals and are looking for a third. That's inside, deflected off of Tafalage. You could hear Timofey Strelly screaming at his defense and his goalie to let's go. Kind of secure things here, get things solid in the back. They are playing with fire, the Fort Lee defense. Chip forward, and now Tafalage will easily handle this one. You have to think that this is a nervous time as well. You come into the game literally and figuratively cold, and now it's a state playoff game, everything on the line, your season on the line. And you're going up against a team in Morris Hills that they know how to fill the back of a net quickly with their plethora of goal-scoring options. Strelly earns the throw-in now after he has that one go off of Morris Hills out of bounds to the far side. Trying the crossfield pass, but that's too short. Taken in by Cortez. Cortez with a nice long ball down the far side, and Tafalash will scoop it up just in the upper edge of the box. So it's kind of like if you want to have the analogy in sports, when you hear the old adage of, with basketball, you live and die by the three. You always are a team that lives and dies by how many three-pointers you take, and if you make them on a hot night, it's kind of like that with aggressive goaltending in soccer. You live and die by it. Sometimes you're going to make outstanding acrobatic saves, and you're going to cut down on chances, and then other times you're going to be victimized by your over-aggressive play by other teams. So it kind of seems that way for Fort Lee. You're going to have those opportunities, and you're going to have dazzling saves and amazing aggressive plays, but at other times, it might lead to more goal-scoring opportunities actually for the opponent. You just hope that the good outweighs the bad. Fort Lee holding on to a one-goal lead right now as we come up on the final 20 minutes of regulation. And obviously, because it's the state playoffs, no game will end in a tie. If this were to go to overtime, you'd have the overtime instant winner on the sudden winner rule with a goal scored in overtime. And if not, then we go to penalty kicks. Here's a shot from distance, and Tafalage will let it roll past to the far side, and will go out for a goal kick now with under 20 minutes left to go. And these officials certainly know penalty kicks very well. That's the reason why they showed up here late to the game. They were refereeing again another game in Bergen County at Riverdale High School in Ordell. Earlier this afternoon, that playoff game went to penalty kicks and forced a later start to this game. But a nice crowd assembled here of students and fans from both schools to support their student athletes here under the lights at the Sugarman Sports Complex. We've been treated to 5 goals in this game. Now it's going to be a chance here for Morris Hills, and that time parrying it away, making the save is Tafalage, and also in the process keeping it in play. So Tafalage makes the initial save after D'Souza was looking to tie the game up at 3-3, and then did a nice job of touching it forward to himself to avoid it from going out of bounds for a potential corner kick. So Tafalage with his brilliant moment there since coming into the game. It remains 3-2 the lead for Fort Lee. But again, you sense that it's precarious at best. Fort Lee has produced 1 goal here in the second half. That was on a penalty kick by Timofey Strelly. But the majority of the time has been spent in this defensive side of the field. Fort Lee again feeling the pressure, clearing it out of bounds. It'll be another throw-in now for Morris Hills. Into the box it goes. There's some contact. Out of bounds it goes. And it will result in a corner kick now. Morris Hills quickly going to the corner flag with Bryant Morales, who has 1 goal here tonight. He sets it up to the far post. Tafalage got a piece of it. Karam's out to the far side. Bosi shooting that worm burner that just stayed on the carpet here, and there's another save by Tafalage. So a little adversity now staring Fort Lee in the face. This is a team that now has allowed with the 2 goals tonight, 30 goals on the season. In this game, number 18 on the year. Here's Caden Chan. Chan trying to get it up top to Strelly. Lost his balance initially. Recovers. Gets the ball back. Sends it over to the near side to Oakley. Oakley tried to take it on one Karam. Chan tried to do a little bit of a spinorama inside, but lost his footing. Here's Aragones from space. Takes the shot from distance and nearly found the back of the net. Aragones might have had the goal of the night there if he could have connected from downtown. But instead it goes out of bounds wide of the mark, and now we'll set up a goal kick and a trigger back to play. Just a tap of the kick there by Epstein. Over to Morales, who goes with a long ball down to Brown. Here's a run after it. Dangerously close as Tafalage will have to just play it out to space in the far side. Morris Hills and their forwards are starting to wreak havoc on the defense of Fort Lee. They are winning the foot races to the open possession and the balls down the field. That speed is becoming a concern for the back line of Demba Maine's side. It'll be a throw-in the offensive side now for Morris Hills. They throw it inside the box. Was open for a brief second. Now good clearance there by Oakley. Goes back to the feet of Oakley, who drop kicks that one away. Just Chan waiting the other side. And the Fort Lee bridgeman, Caden Chan, will bring it down to his feet. Plays it over to the near side. Now to Strelly. Strelly chips that one from space, but whistles it just wide to the near left side. And that'll go out of play for another goal kick. Fort Lee has found their opportunities in the counterattack here in the second half, while the gradual build-up in the offensive end has been for Morris Hills. Here's a rare turnover in the midfield. After Fort Lee had done such a great job in the first half of winning the possession in the midfield, it's been Morris Hills that have been dominating time of possession here in the second stanza, as that's played out of bounds wide to the far side. As we come up now on the final 15 minutes of the second half of play. Dan Long, Dimitri Nanis, glad they could join us for some exciting playoff soccer here under the bright lights in Fort Lee, New Jersey. It's Morris Hills in the white, Fort Lee in the black. The winner will take on the winner of 16 seed Wayne Hills and top seeded Ramapo. Play to the top of the box. Fort Lee now trying to win a little more possession here on offense. Strelly has that one blocked out of play by Ramadan. And it'll be a throw-in now on the offensive side for the Bridgemen. Certainly they would love to produce another goal. That would be an insurance goal again for the third time, would stake them to a 2-goal lead. Also give a little breather for their defense that have been pressed into service early and often here in the second half. Aragones anticipating that play was Ramadan to make the deflection. Laid back defensively. Over to the near side, but a misplay. And here's a counterattack opportunity to the near side, and what a play there by Fort Lee, all ball, making amends after the bad pass. Coming down that near side. What a play there by Fort Lee defensively. It's going to take more of those efforts defensively to get across the finish line here today for the Bridgemen. Hashi. Again, it might be a little too soon for Fort Lee just to keep on sending it deep down the other way. They have to try to win the possession and hold on to the ball a little longer. As it's sent down the other way with under 13 minutes left to go in the second half. Aragones and the fellow seniors trying to keep their careers going. Trying to produce a win here at home that would send them to the quarterfinal round. The first year that Fort Lee is playing here in the North 1 Group 3 playoffs. Morris Hills looking for their first win in this bracket since 2018. Fort Lee setting it up down the far side wing. Now bringing it in with the numbers advantage for the defense. Again, Fort Lee trying to produce something here. Stays in play. Good defensive work by Bozy. Fort Lee playing it to the far side, and then that goes out of bounds and will be possession upcoming and a throw-in now for Morris Hills. In the midfield it goes. Well, Nair. Morris Hills' last loss came on October 20th, a 2-0 loss against Roxbury, who's the number 2 seed in this bracket. On the opposite side of the bracket, Roxbury handed Morris Hills 2 of their 5 losses on the season. Morales. As Oakley watching him, Morales going with the ball to the far side, and no run in there, allowing Tafalage to take it on a bounce. Alton Tafalage has come into this game after Tomas left with an injury. Tomas allowed the 2 goals for Morris Hills to begin this second half. Oakley could not get it at his feet there as Bryant Morales will allow it to roll out of bounds to the near side. Nice move there. I've been impressed by the play of number 15 in the back line for Bryant Morales as they play it over to the far side. Bosi down that far side. He'll touch it out of bounds, so it's going to be a throw-in taken by Fort Lee. On that far side of the defensive end, just in front of the Morris Hills sideline. Strelli doing a nice job of controlling it. Fort Lee will send it long the other way as we come up on the final 10 minutes of the second half. Fort Lee led 2-0 at the break. Morris Hills shot out of a cannon to begin this second half. Scored a goal to make it 2-1. Fort Lee drew a penalty kick right after to score again to make it 3-1. There were 2 combined goals in the first 5 minutes of the second half, and then another goal off a set piece by Bryant Morales has pulled the Scarlet Knights back to within 1 at 3-2. We've been scoreless since that early and often goal scoring. 3 goals scored within the first 10 minutes of the second half. As Bosi is now shifted over to the near side wing after he was venturing down that far sideline for the majority of this second half of play. Ball's up top. Here's Cortez. Cortez down that far side wing now. Centering ball in the box, headed forward. Good defensive work by Oakley. Eric Gomez, though, having difficulty clearing it up the field. And Fort Lee is just forced to clear it out of harm's way down the near sideline. Pass into the box, now the top of the box. Strelli heading it forward as he was falling backwards. Hashi now with it. Good possession there. Hashi setting it down the near side. Trying to free up the run down that near side, but once again, there's Epstein holding on to it. Epstein has allowed 1 goal since coming into this game to start the second half. That was the penalty kick finish by Strelli. Strelli bested Johnny Ramirez twice in the first half. Strelli with another hat-trick performance here this season. He has had some of his biggest games here at home in tournament action. Offside flag stayed down, and that shot just missed wide to the left. Morris Hills generating another quality opportunity there, just couldn't cash in. Again, every time that there's a shot opportunity, you see the Fort Lee defense trying to put their arms up in the air, trying to signal offsides. You can't count on that. Morris Hills had snuck it in inside that far post. We would have been tied here at 3-3. Instead, it's still a 1-goal advantage between Fort Lee and Morris Hills. Bounces past a couple of players going up for the header attempt. Knocked down, chipped forward into the corner. Last touch off of Oakley. It'll roll its way, and Will it be a corner or a throw-in? It's going to be a throw-in just in front of the corner flag. So Fort Lee got the benefit of that rollout there. And now it's going to be a throw-in here deep in the offensive side for Morris Hills. Headed forward by the defense of Fort Lee. But again, the Bridgmen really struggling to just get it out of their own zone. They get the benefit there of that deflection as it rolls out of play. And that will go out for now a goal kick. So Demba main side, they have now 6:30 and counting left to go before they could produce a first-round win here in the playoffs. But again, as I mentioned when it was 29 minutes left, this is going to feel like an eternity for the Bridgmen and their fans assembled here at home. A misplay by Aragones as that goes out of bounds. Still plenty of time and plenty of opportunities presenting themselves here for a comeback and trying to find that equalizing goal for the Scarlet Knights of Morris Hills. Morales setting that one deep, and Tafalage measuring it up the entire time. And he'll make the catch and slowly will get it back into play with under 6 minutes now left to go in the half. Tafalage showing off that strong leg. Tomas not having that in his arsenal, as a couple of times he has let other defenders or he's elected to roll it out more. Again, he left this game with an injury early on in the second half. Sending it down that long way as that will go out of bounds and will be a throw-in now for Fort Lee. And you'd have to think that the Bridgmen are going to take their sweet time trying to get the ball back into play, trying to waste as much time, shave off as many seconds as possible here late in the game. Knocked around, and there's a foul produced, and it's going to be a foul against Morris Hills. So a set-piece opportunity for Fort Lee just inside where's the 25-yard line here on the field to the Sugarman Sports Complex. Again, the winner of tonight's game will face the winner of Wayne Hills and Ramapo. So most likely it's going to be Ramapo, the top seed in this bracket. That would be a matchup if Ramapo wins in Franklin Lakes, and there with a set-piece miscommunication. Strelly was taking the kick, faking like he was going towards the goal and was sending it out to the far side anyway, but the teammates were not on the same page. It goes out for a simple turnover. Now sent back to the near side. We'll see if Fort Lee starts to administer a little more pressure and try to keep this out of the defensive end. There's a turnover forced. Good play there by Fort Lee, though, to win back the ball in the midfield. Fort Lee trying to reverse it to the far side, but the pass is not on the mark. That goes out of bounds to the far side. Fort Lee trying to will their way home here and hold on late. 3:40 and counting left to go in the second half. Time is starting to be a concern for Morris Hills. They've generated countless number of opportunities here to tie the score at 3-all. Have just not produced that final form. Here's Strelly forcing the turnover. A 2-on-1. Sliding it over to the near side. Chipped into the corner a bit and misplayed. I don't know what's going on there. Strelly was leading his teammate down the middle of the field for what could have been a prime goal-scoring opportunity and finish this game off. But his teammate was trying to line it up and almost send it back to Strelly, who was expecting to make the run down the far right side. So there was the prime opportunity for Demba main side to produce what would have been the knockout blow. So Morris Hills still alive here with 2:45 and counting. Still it remains a 3-2 game. Will that come back to haunt the Bridgmen? As Strelly popping it up in the air. Aragona is waiting for it to come down, and he settles down underneath it. Here goes Aragona showing off the dribbling skills. Down that near side. Just can't hold on to it at the end. The last touch betrayed him as that goes out of bounds for a goal kick. As we are quickly coming up on the final 2 minutes of regulation. Morris Hills looking for a tying goal to keep their season alive and force overtime. Fort Lee trying to salt away win number 12 on the season. Here's another advance up the field. Nair trying to go with the 1-2 connection. Trying a little too perfect a pass. Here's Aragones again down the near side. Full head of steam in front of him. Bryant Morales selling all the way out to make that sliding tackle play. Knocking it out of bounds, and now it's going to be a throw-in upcoming after some subs are made. 1:45 remaining here in the second half of play. Time starting to run out here for Morris Hills. An outstanding season for the Scarlet Knights, 13-5-1. Their most wins in a season since 2018, which also happens to be the last time that they won a playoff game here in North 1 Group 3. Played over to the near side. Here's Morales, who scored the last goal. His entry is knocked out of play by Oakley. 1:24 and counting. Quick restart. Getting it back up top. Here's Hashi. Hashi sending that one long. Again, just dumping it down the other way, trying to clean off a little more time. Epstein setting it forward. Headed forward again. More time wasting. Good job here by Fort Lee. Into the midfield. Aragona is trying to settle it down. It caroms off his foot. Headed forward by Morris Hills. And once again, Fort Lee will clear it out behind their own bench. Under a minute left to go here in the second half. 3-2 lead for the Bridgemen. Fort Lee playing it up top. Ashi trying to spin away from the double team. A lot of contact we play on with a player still down on the turf for the Bridgemen. It squirts out to space to the near side. Here's Bryant Morales playing it forward. The edge of the box. To the top side. 30 seconds remaining in the second half. Rolls over to the near side. Bosi now with it. Sends in the service right into the breadbasket of Tafalage, who will hold on to it and start to celebrate. The clock will stop with 21.4 seconds left to go here in the second half, as the player who was down injured for Fort Lee is still on his back at around the 30-yard line in the defensive side of the field. So only 21 seconds remain in this game, as another player also looks like suffering from cramps and is being stretched out by Strelly inside the box. Despite it being a cold night, you have a lot of players cramping up, and Fort Lee having some players trying to get to the finish line here this evening with, again, only 21.4 seconds left to go here in regulation. Fort Lee led 2-0 at halftime. Their lead was cut to 2-1. They extended the lead to 3-1 here in the second half before Morris Hills scored again to make it 3-2. And now they're just trying to salt this one away. As now regulation starts and the clock is being wound up again, as Tafalage will kick that one sky high and out of play. But still, this is going to be one final chance up the field for Morris Hills. Cleared away to that sideline again. So Tafalage would have been better suited to just clear it up the field and waste time. Now Fort Lee will clear it to space. The final seconds will run out. And for the first time since 2017, Fort Lee has won a playoff game here at home. And for the first time since 2018, Fort Lee will advance overall in the state playoff. So the final score here from the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex, Fort Lee 3 and Morris Hills 2. Morris Hills will end an outstanding 2021 with an overall record of 13-6-1, and Fort Lee will live to play another day as the Bridgemen will improve to 12-6 on the season with another win here at home. And if this is the final home game for this senior class, they will leave on a high note, as they will finish the season 5-3 here at home, putting together another win in a tournament setting, and will get a shot most likely at top-seeded Ramapo in the quarterfinal round in Franklin Lakes. So again, an exciting game. Timofey Strelly, what a senior year for the forward up top, scoring a hat trick here when it matters the most in the postseason, giving him his 20th goal in the process of the year to go along with his 2 assists. And Alton Tafalage comes into the game due to an injury to the starting keeper and he does not let one go by him to secure the 3-2 victory. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in and supporting these student athletes from both great schools in this fun North 1 Group 3 sectional playoff game. And thank you for your constant support of Fort Lee soccer all season long with our broadcast here from the Sugarman Sports Complex. We really, truly appreciate your support throughout this season on our broadcast here on YouTube. Again, a special shout out to my producer, Dimitri Nanis. He is the hardest working man in show business, getting us set for these broadcasts and helping us all out. So make sure to tune in for the soccer season next fall as well here from Fort Lee. And of course, when the winter sports season starts in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be bringing you all the coverage from the East Gymnasium as well. So again, final score, the Bridgman win in the postseason and claim their first ever North 1 Group 3 victory with a 3-2 win over Morris Hills. For Dimitri Nanis, I'm Dan Long signing off, and thank you fans for supporting the Bridgman here on YouTube. Take care, everybody.